Hey folks, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the iSelector Astro. This is a dashboard camera that has a 2.7-inch LCD display on the very back, but the most notable part is going to be the resolution of this camera. Although it says QuadHD, it's really 2K video recording capabilities, which is a step up from the typical 1080p or 720p you might find on dashboard cameras. This resolution is matched by the Xiaomi Xiao dashboard cam, although that one is about the same price as well. It doesn't have as good construction quality in my opinion. This one is constructed out of aluminum. It looks a bit more classy and sleek, and it's currently selling on Amazon for $150 with free shipping, down from a MRSP price of $500, which was way too expensive. But otherwise, the resolution is 2560 by 1440, and it shoots at 30 frames per second at an ultra-wide 170-degree viewing angle. So it does get a pretty nice, almost a fisheye lens effect that captures a wide view in front of the vehicle. It does do a pretty good job even under darker environments, and it has a A12 CPU chipset inside, which the company claims is also good enough to capture night vision with HDR, and also of course you can take some pictures on here, although it's not autofocus. And the battery inside is really just meant for you to swap out a AC plug. It isn't really meant to for you to use the camera when on the go away from a power source. But otherwise there is a G sensor on board, or gravity sensor, so that if you are in a car crash, it will prevent the video from getting lost. So you can just put in any SD card and it will consistently loop the video until you have a video that you want to keep. It will automatically lock that video into place. And otherwise, it's again a pretty advanced dashboard camera, and the design is again quite appealing. There are lots of different accessories inside of the packaging, inclusive of things like a GPS accessory that you can plug into this 2.5mm jack on the side of the unit. I'll show you that in a moment. It allows you to lock into place and have geotagging on your photos as well as your videos, so that when you are connected to a software suite, let's say Google Maps, it will show you your route that you were taken on their drive, and perhaps where you had an accident, let's say, so that could be very useful. There's also a power source for inside the car. It uses a older standard, the mini USB connector, instead of the micro USB, so that's kind of an interesting choice on the sides there. It also includes a micro HDMI cable if you want to attach that onto a larger monitor or a TV. There's another dedicated mini USB cable for syncing with the computer. There's the mount for attaching it onto the dashboard. There are user manuals, and so on and so forth. So quite a lot of contents included in the box, although I would still recommend getting your own SD card or a larger capacity. It supports up to 64 gigs if you want to record more content. Other specifications include a lens aperture of f1.8, and there's also a little bit of built-in audio, but it's not very high def. The photo resolution is capped at 16 megapixels, rather impressive, and again it has a lithium-ion battery which is integrated and cannot be user removed, so that is something to note as well. Taking a closer look now at the design of the unit, there are ventilation grills on either sides. There's also a built-in speaker, because again with 2K video recording, this thing does get quite hot, so that will come in handy. There are no fans, of course, or anything like that. It almost looks like a more advanced DSLR from the front because of this very protruding design, and there is a protective cover for the lens, which is made out of glass on the front. You have the logo on the front as well. The main frame feels quite solid. The sides features access to the up and down keys, which goes through the various menus, which we'll show you later on, as well as the center select key. And the top features access to the aforementioned power on-off switch, mini USB for charging, syncing information, GPS module add-on, and the micro HDMI port. And the other side also features access to controls for going back to the menu, going to the mode, and also going through and selecting a few things as well. So there are 6 keys in total, 3 on either side of the unit. Finally, on the bottom, there's access to that microphone. There is that micro SD card slot. There isn't a card pre-installed, as well as a tiny reset pen, which you need to use occasionally if the device gets stuck, but we didn't really encounter that in our testing as of yet, which is a good sign. Overall, pretty sleek and elegant presentation. Next, we're going to give you guys a quick tour of the menu UI. Alright, so we're now plugged into a power bank, so you can see there's a blue LED which illuminates, showing that power is flowing through. Tap on the top there, it turns purple for a second, and then it will go into the viewfinder. And indeed, it's a very wide angle effect. The LCD does have not so good viewing angles, I have to say. If you tilt the screen ever so slightly, colors do get washed out, but the screen is bright enough to be seen in even bright environments, which is really all that matters when you have it mounted inside of your car. Otherwise, you can see the menu is pretty nice in terms of the interface. The top shows you some status for the video recording mode. If you're in the picture mode, the power is plugged in, there is a card in, and that GPS is currently not connected, but you can see that by the X sign. There's also indication for the video looping, currently set to 3 minutes, the aspect ratio 30 frames per second, and right now we are at the 2K resolution for video recording. And down below here, there's also indication for the mic, which is again currently turned on. So going through some of the settings, I can press on the menu key here once to change things like the quality from super fine to just regular, detection for again that gravity sensor, so if something has a super jolt, it's going to refrain itself from looping, and it's just going to save things. If we navigate down here, you can see that motion detecting is currently set to off. There's also a parking mode, a split record mode, an anti-flicker mode, and you can see some more adjustments for the microphone. You can turn that on or off if you don't think that's too useful, since it's going to be recording inside the car anyways. Going back there, I can also tap on the mode key. So now we are in the photo taking mode, which is not as great or as useful in my opinion, but it takes fixed focus shots. It's not a autofocus camera, but you do get a very wide field of view as well. You can still change things like the resolution as well as the fineness or the detail, but you don't get more advanced menus in this case. Tapping on the up and down keys once also turns the display off if you want to save a bit of power. And in this case, the card is full, but I can tap on the OK there to start recording or to take a shot. So all in all, this is a pretty simple interface. Tap on mode once again to look back at your saved images or videos, and you can directly play them back on the screen as well. With that speaker, it can play back the sound, so it's decent. You can also, if you want, I guess, use this as a small, perhaps MP4 player. If you load up a few clips in the MP4 format, it will play back as well as the sound will play back as well. So if you are in a car, perhaps if your kid is using it, you can load up a few clips, but again, that's not the main purpose, and that kind of distracts from where the setup should be, which is mounted in the case of an emergency. So that's basically how this device looks as far as the UI. Pretty intuitive and easy to use. If you unplug it, again, power will basically go out after about 1 or 2 minutes, so the battery here is really just restricted for temporary use. Otherwise, we're going to give you a quick clip of how the video looks like next, and this is shot with this camera. So as seen from that test footage, you can hopefully see that the video quality is pretty impressive. It does a nice job. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to show through YouTube because there's going to be the conversion and then the uploading, which decreases the quality slightly. But the important thing to take home here is that you can definitely read any fine details, such as license plate numbers. You can see trees or landscapes. Everything around you is captured in pretty good vivid detail. Colors are well balanced, they're saturated, and you definitely have a pretty high resolution count, so you can zoom in all the way without any issues. The HDR mode as well as night vision are highlights. They do work as advertised, and it still is fairly readable even as the sun goes down, which is nice. And again, this is a fixed focus lens on here, as with most action cameras. Compared to something like the Xiaomi action camera, I would say that the resolution and also the overall effect is equal. Better than 1080p, sure, it has more pixels, it's a bit more clear, and overall the lens here is wide enough that it allows enough in terms of the aperture for light to enter as well, so it does a decent job of picking up details, even again in darker environments. But compared to 1080p dashboard cameras, I say that the main thing is it does take up more space as well. So when you're looping through the card, it does fill up a bit faster, and also there's a bit more of heat that gets accumulated on the surface. But overall, if you do want something in true HD or even goes beyond HD, this is a nice option to consider. It has a very good night vision mode, I would say, and all in all, it does a pretty good job as far as providing a complete package with that GPS module on board. It just extends the functionality as well. So you can learn more information about this, as well as more test footage and performance and data that we recorded in our full written review. But this has been our video. Thanks for watching QROS.